out Norfolluma's way. Here comes Dayden. Scramble. Tigers. Alex Twell. Alex Twell has ended up with a ball. Oh no! Unbelievable. One small step for man. One giant leap for Alex Twell.
Welcome to the ultimate Supercoach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Inside Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Yes, welcome back to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast. We're live for the Sunday Sesh to talk you through all things round 21 of NRL Supercoach. The show is brought to you by the Standard Squeeze, helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. And I'm the Supercoach Brain. I'm back. I've had a little bit of a layoff, a bit crook, but I think I'm all good now. And the man who kept the podcast going, Supercoach Mattrix. How are you, mate? How's your weekend?
Hey, mate. Oh, great. How was South Africa?
Mate, if by South Africa you mean how was lying in bed paralytic, yeah, it was great. I had
Mate,
fun. But you ran some podcasts for me and I got to hop in the comments, so that was always good.
Oh, mate, I've got your personal Instagram. I know you were sipping pina coladas on the beach somewhere.
Yeah, that's it. That was the secret, but we won't tell anyone, will we? Mate, how did you go this weekend? It was a bit of a weird week, wasn't it? Supercoach wise, a lot of kind of 40 to 60 scores floating around out there.
Yeah. So I was a bit disappointed. Like, I haven't had a look, like, coming into today, like the average of all my players was like, say, 59 in and around that. I feel like I've got a really good team and everyone was just sort of got their floor. It was a funny sort of week. You know, some of the bullets that I thought I'd dodged in like the last 10 minutes of games, they sort of come good. Yeah, just not a good week for me. I got 1135, but, you know, not super disappointed with it because realistically, like, I think this is like the worst week I'm going to have.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a really wide range of scores out there this week. I think when I was looking through my leagues, that I think some people scored anywhere between 1050 and 1100, and then you see some 1350s out there. So it's going to be a wide range of scores. So for anybody watching, a few people are starting to drop in now already, which is great. James, Paul, Mark, thanks for hopping on, guys. Drop your scores in the comments. Let's see what the range is, and let's see how people have gone this week. I'm going to guess par might be around 1180, 1190, I reckon. That's just a little bit of a guess I get from what I've seen and from scores I've seen in leagues. Yeah,
I thought 1200.
So it'd be very interesting to see. So drop them in the comments. Let us know how you went, and if you have any questions the full episode, we'll answer every question as we always do. For the round coming up in round 22, we'll give you guys a bit of an understanding on our thoughts for trades next week, and talk you through all the winners and losers from the weekend. And there were plenty of both. But before we do, please subscribe, hit the like button if you haven't already. If you're watching us on YouTube, it's the way for us, I guess, to get the channel out there. And as you'll probably notice, if you're watching us, you'll notice the branding's changed a little bit thanks to Matty Garrett's hard work in the background. Host of the NBA show for us has put in some overtime to make us look a little bit prettier. So I didn't think he could do it, make us look any better, but he has. So full props to Matty for getting all of that done. And guys, if you are listening to us on the audio, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever it is you get your podcasts, hit that follow button and leave us a review and tell a mate about the pod. I got 1308, so I actually had a decent week. I kind of feel like you messaged me, when was it, like Saturday night or during the day Saturday, and you're like, is it just me or is this week just like a really midweek? And I'm looking at my scores going, I'm getting lots of 50s, 60s, 70s with a couple of 80s, but like I didn't have those low sub 20 kind of scores that I normally find in the week. Yeah. So it kind of made me think maybe I was ahead of par a little bit this week, but 1308, man, I'd be very disappointed if I didn't see green. I'm hoping that I can get back up into the top 2000 again after this week, fingers crossed, but we'll see how we go.
I think you did. Did you have Britton Nickera?
Yeah, I did. He was my lowest score of the round, I think, from memory.
Yeah, cop that too. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was good fun. Ronaldo Mulatalo turned up though, which was nice. I was death riding. I wasn't death riding him. I was riding the shit out of him to hope that he actually did something for me. Yeah, I know. How'd Val Holmes go? The little bit of Val Holmes versus Mulatalo. back and forth the last couple of weeks. So
Heck, I'm just opening up his 3-round average, to be honest.
yeah, you've got me covered there. Quick review of your trades, mate, before we move into the games. What were your moves last week?
Yeah, so I went Moses to Cleary and Hopgood to Fafita. Probably just another one of those. I suppose I'm happy with both of these for the run home. I think Parramatta's run home is pretty hard, and I think that they played pretty ordinary, apart from a bit of desperation footy for the last 12 minutes of the game. I don't know. It's sort of short-term pain for some long-term gain, I suppose I'm going to think about it. Cleary looked really good. Didn't have to try very hard today. Yeah, happy with getting Cleary. Happy with actually dropping Hopgood. It might be a bit of a theme, something that we talk about a bit later on. Because he's so highly owned. Pretty happy to miss out on his 60. And Moses only turned up, I think he was on 20 until the last 15 minutes and got 90. So that destroyed me. But at the end of the day, I have a lot more faith in Cleary. I'm feeling good.
Did he get 90, Moses?
Oh, it was something silly.
64 he finished with.
Oh, sorry. So, but he was on 12. He was going awful. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was looking at his score going, fuck yeah, how good. Because obviously we knew that Cleary wasn't going to score like that. And a bit of junk at the end and a bit of Nico Hines junk has saved a lot of people that threw the captaincy on him this evening as well. But look, much of a muchness. I think they both scored very, very similar, Cleary and Hines, and they were the two most popular captaincy options. So it kind of null and void, I guess, those two moves. I did the same as you. I did Moses to Cleary. I didn't trade Hopgood. I know that I actually like the move. We were talking about it a little bit, and moving Hopgood could be the play. It could be the perfect antipod right now, knowing that he goes on to just continually get some maybe 55 to 70 scores, and you go and get someone in with massive upside. That could be a huge point of difference there for the run home, I think. And knowing that the Eels have that round 27 bye as well, it could be the perfect time to move him on for the cash.
That's what I'm thinking. It's just like when Nickera goes and gets 35, you do. I know I'm trying to temper my disappointment in the week, but when Nickera goes and gets 35, you go, oh, fuck it, I may as well have just got rid of him. But I think Nickera's got that 120 in him. I think he can, score 2 tries at any given moment. I haven't seen that from Hopgood before, so.
Yeah. I think you know what you're going to get with Hopgood, but there just maybe won't be the upside that you would expect from him. Or that you would want from somebody at that kind of price. That's probably the best way to explain it. Before we dive into the games as well, we're starting to see some comments drop in. So let us know how you went for the weekend, guys. We'll go through those scores and try and work out what par is very soon. But the Standard Squeeze, guys, big shout out to them, the major sponsor of the podcast. If you haven't heard of the Standard Squeeze, you probably haven't been listening or watching. But if you're new here and you haven't heard of the Standard Squeeze, got some awesome products on there to help you drink responsibly and conveniently as well. So if you, for instance, you're going to go out and you don't want to take a bloody bottle of vodka or whatever it is and you're a spirit drinker, you just chuck it in your plastic squeeze. It's food grade quality plastic as well, so it won't go and break. You can keep your alcohol in there forever. And you'll see if you're watching on YouTube, Matty's got his there as well. It's empty, though, in true Mattrix fashion. You wouldn't see some alcohol in his actual bottle, would you?
It's gone.
Yeah, it measures the perfect shot as well, so you don't go and overpour and get a bit sloppy and get on the piss and end up regretting having too many. I've got my 4-in-1 as well that keeps my drink nice and cold. I've got a Coke in it tonight. Got to go to work tomorrow, but got to be responsible. And also, I'm on antibiotics still, so fucking can't win. I feel like I've been on antibiotics for about a month. But guys, you can get all of these stuff as well. I've got some pretty sick merch on the website as well, and you can get 15% off if you use the code INSIGHT15. Very easy. All of their products that code is valid for. So hop on the standardsqueeze.com. Now, some scores are starting to roll in. James Gowing, 1247. It's a bit above par. I'd say that's green arrows. Would you?
Yeah. That'll be green. Yeah.
1251 for Chris Maxfield, 1250 for Matt Sherwood. Yeah, so we're starting to see some 1200 scores. Flash with 1119, probably a little bit below par. Terry King, first time commenter. Welcome, mate. Good to get involved. 1142, Terry finished with. 1234 for Paul, 1233 for Mark, 1222 for James. Yeah, so we're starting to see some of these 1200 to 1300 scores now, I'd say, are probably going to be that par for the course. Zach Logan with a 1304. massive. Mr. Callio, regular listener, 1235, and Ian O'Brien with the 528.
I can't believe his profile picture's got my brother in it and not me. What a kick in the dick.
It's all right. You find out a few things, don't you, when you go on social media? So
I tell you what, he's on here because he towed me up in our friends and family league too this week.
Yeah, I bet you he's here to tell you how you went this weekend. I'm sure. But
about as good as Paul Kent.
Flash has asked if you split up with Hudson Young yet.
No, he was good. He scored a try early. I was enjoying the game. Wet weather. I tell you what, he'll punch out some 80s or 90s this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next few games for Canberra Raiders. So we'll keep that one in the back pocket, I think. Preston laid out, hurt Paul as well. A couple of Terry sold Peachy. Kind of shitty week to sell Peachy, unfortunately, as he ended up playing. Scored a try or two, didn't he? Yeah, bugger. 1089 for Raymond Campbell, 1272 for Saw Eric as well. So
yep,
huge. Some really good scores from the group out here. We'll obviously announce a squeeze of the week winner for the highest score in the Unlimited League on Tuesday, as we do every week. So keep an eye out there. We'll get a good indication of how everybody's gone then. But mate, let's dive into these games, shall we? First one I don't really want to fucking talk about. Where's Damien Carroll before we start talking about Dragons vs Tigers? I'm surprised he's not watching.
Clear, you're good to go.
All right, good. We'll get through this one real quick before he badgers me on it. Dragons 18, Tigers 14. Tigers should have won this game and didn't. Some Supercoach relevant scores though. I mean, the hundreds in this group. There's 300s in this game. Junior Tupou 136 had a really good game. I'm a relatively big fan of Junior Tupou. I think he just needs to get the shitty little errors out of his game, and he could actually be a really quality player. Good, big, athletic body. So and good in the air. So let's hope his development continues as a Tiger supporter. Zach Lomax though is the one that I wouldn't mind talking about. 115. That's his second 100 back to back now. I think 138 last week, 115 this week. What are your thoughts on Lomax? Is he a consideration now with those 200s?
Man, he's 1% owned and he's looked really good. I think the last ton he got moved to fullback for a little bit, which I would like to see more of. They're not going to be playing the Tigers every week. I think you'll just see them, I suppose, when they're playing a good team. And there's some good teams coming up in their draw. I can't see him getting, much more than like the 40s and the 50s, which I just don't really like. And I'm not looking to roll the dice with a St. George Illawarra Dragon, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the downside, isn't it? Both of these teams are just at the bottom of the ladder. There's a bit of a toilet bowl matchup, wasn't it, these two? So how confident are you that Lomax is going to find attacking stats every single week? Otherwise, like you said, you're going to end up with 50s from him, which is fine if that's what you want.
I think I don't know whether I want to pay
600.
I think I actually talked about this with Ian from the chat the other day. Like if Lomax was on a good team, like if Lomax played for the Broncos or Lomax played for any of these top 8 teams, he'd be in everybody's Supercoach team. He'd be 80% owned.
Yeah, that's a good shout. This is a good shout. He's shit team syndrome has kicked in for Lomax, unfortunately, in Supercoach world. So Dane Laurie, 106, obviously the only other 100 in this game, not Supercoach relevant, so we'll push through. The well-owned players, when I say well-owned, more than 20% owned for most of these guys. Yep. John Bateman, 57. Started to regress back to the mean, I think, a little bit with John Bateman. I think we started to see a lot of those 70s, even some 80s at the start, when people started buying him. Now he's obviously regressed back to that average.
People bought him when the Tigers were going good. It just goes back to our points about St. George Illawarra Dragons and West Tigers. And like, I love Dream Bullet too. Actually, could be one of the most exciting fullbacks in the game. I just love watching him play. But on this team, are you going to take a punt on him? No,
not a chance. Isaiah Papali'i, 59. I know you're an owner. You've held on through, I guess, the stage of everyone selling him. You'd be happy with a 59, really, from a guy that's playing on the worst team in the comp. You wouldn't really.
I'd be happier with a 66, which is what he was sitting on.
Yeah, a bit of a downgrade for IPAP, unfortunately, but he's gonna struggle to find attacking stats as well. So you just need to temper your expectations on guys like that. Isaiah Papali'i of 2022 is gone.
He's my 5th second row forward. That's a punt where I want to be. I'm not going to be disappointed inserting my 5th second row forward and getting 59.
Yeah, Yeah, good shout. Stefano 69. Giggity. He finally repaid owners. I think a lot of people ended up playing him last week. Went for his 30 odd or whatever it was. And then this week, everyone sat him, obviously, because you've got your 4 front rowers. I'm sure most people have Tohu Harris or Joseph Tarpany or Payne Haas or whoever. So Stefano sat on the pine for a 69. Yeah. Jack de Belin is an interesting one. 40. His scores have just dropped off a cliff in the last, 3-4 weeks since he had that HIA. I don't know, obviously, if there's any relevance there, but if you had Jack de Belin, do you bail on him now? Or has the ship kind of sunk and you've just got to hope it rises again?
If he's your third, second row forward, like, who are you going to go to? Like, if he's your fourth, then you nuff him. If he's your second, you probably try and find the money for a Payne Haas coming back this week. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yep, fair call. Buller 40 as well. Look, if you didn't jump off Buller, I think now's the time. You've got some really nice fullback options, I guess, coming up now. You got Reece Walsh,
There's a lot of fullback options.
Pretty good.
Who would have thought this?
Coming off 100.
Who would have thought this a few weeks ago?
I reckon a month ago we were sitting here going, fullback's not the same as what it used to be. And
everybody
sitting here in our rocking chairs, fucking 75 years old, telling our grandkids stories. Fullback isn't this. Back in my day, fullback, that was a premium position in Supercoach. But
I remember when you just used to pay $200K for, I don't know, whoever was playing for the Tigers, and you just take his points.
You would. You'd take Buller's points. I'm still happy. I'm still happy with Buller, but I think you've got to make the most of the cash. He has lost a lot of cash too, which kind of sucks. Mate, let's move on. That's enough of Dragons Tigers talk. There's not too much Supercoach relevance. No one's really looking at those ones.
The toilet bowl is over.
The toilet bowl's done. I'll tell you what isn't the toilet bowl, though. The Warriors and the Raiders game on Friday night, 6 p.m. That was an absolute belter of a game to watch. Warriors getting up 21-20 with a SJ field goal. Prime SJ. How good is he playing? Honestly, like, this is just a different level of SJ. You think back to Prime SJ and all the stepping and all of the amazing kind of theatrics that he used to put on. But this is different now. This is like game manager SJ.
Well, he's actually tailored his game to, I suppose, his age and just like become an absolute phenomenon, hasn't he?
So good.
Like he won the Dally M, 12 years ago?
Something like that. But like
he was nearly out of the league.
You just want the Warriors to do well, right? That's the best part of it, is that everyone is cheering on the Warriors as their second team right now not only because of what they went through in COVID and all that kind of shit that kept the league going. Full props to them, mind you. But you just want the Warriors to do well. They're the only team in New Zealand. They're their only team outside Australia. Like you kind of jump on the bandwagon, don't you, for any success that they're having, and they're playing some awesome footy. So he finished with 74, which I'm actually happy as a non-owner. That could have been 120, really. So 74 I'm fine with. We were supposed to get a ton of rain in this game, which I was actually hoping for, but it didn't really come through as much as we thought. Corey Horsburgh with a 76. Owners would be happy with that. Chance Nickel Klukstad, 69. Adam Fanua-Blake, 61. Yeah, and then Tarpany and Harris, 61 and 52. Like, they're all pretty well owned, I think, these guys. I don't have... The only two I have out of that group are Tarpany and Harris. So I'm watching Warriors games through slits in my fingers at the moment, and it's not fun. I need to get one of them in. I'm just not sure which one. Tohu Harris with a 52. Are you concerned about Tohu at all? Because he'll start to come up in conversation now as someone who could potentially be moved on.
I kind of hope that people jump off him because I think he'll find his form again. Like, I think he's that good of a player. I think this game sort of got dragged down a little bit. I don't know what his minutes look like. We might even just look it up in the background, how many minutes he played. But realistically, maybe he did get a bit more injured last game. I'm not concerned. I wouldn't trade him out. I hope people do.
Yeah, I'm going to quickly look up his minutes. I'm pretty sure. Here we go. 54 minutes. So we got a point a minute. Like, at the end of the day, I think we're so used to Tohu playing 70 minutes plus, but I don't think we're going to get that. I think they're going to manage him coming into finals, which is smart, smart football, with his age and his knees. So
he still has a bit of attacking upside too. Like,
He definitely has that link man capability. I think him and Adam Fanua-Blake have a really good connection through the middle of the field. So I'm going to hold, only because I just don't want to burn trades at front row forward. It's just not a high upside position. I'd rather just kind of make trades elsewhere. And I've only got maybe 2 trades left before my team's done. So I will use them elsewhere. Chance Nickel-Klukstad is a guy that I've been looking at, and you'd know this. I've spoken about him. I feel like I've fucking spoken about him every week. And I'm like, I want CNK. I want him in my team. And then something else pops up where I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll get this person instead.
There's something shiny over here.
Yeah. It's that, a piece of candy on Family Guy. Every single time I go to get him in, I don't. And I need to ask myself now, have I just kind of left him? Do I just need to cop the fact that I can't get him? Because he's under 700K now. His price will drop back under 700K this week. I mean, the Warriors draw actually starts to get good round 23, and we know that the Warriors have a bye next round, right? So is round 23 the time to buy CNK? Or do you think it's a waste of a trade now?
So who are you going to go to?
I've got Alex Johnston. I've got Ronaldo Mulatalo. All of these guys I'd have to spend up 150K to get CNK. And that's my concern, is that I've got to find cash to make this trade happen when there's just as much upside on these guys that I'd be trading out.
So the one I would do is if I had Jermaine Osako to go across the CNK.
Yeah, I don't know.
That is definitely, yeah, and I got him, and I'm glad that I got off him. But that is somebody that's really highly owned that I think, it's sideways enough money-wise that's worth doing. But unless you have 250K sitting in the bank, you're probably not going to run Ronnie Mulatalo across. They had very similar matchups this week, and Ronnie scored 60, and what did he score? 69. Like, I think all those other trades are sideways. You bought them at the right time. They're sideways.
It probably is, because I've just got FOMO about CNK and I've wanted him all year, and like maybe I'm reaching. I probably am. So
it's hard when you love watching them as a player too. I still don't have any Broncos in my team. But I get to just enjoy watching Broncos games for that. You know what? You're watching a Warriors game. They're not your number one team. You start looking, you really get pumped for how well they're going. You check your Supercoach scores. It's relevant.
Yeah. There's one guy that I'm watching at the moment. And he's relatively cheap. And I've spoken about him a little bit. I'll talk about him very soon. I think that'll be my trade for my 5th center wing. That'll happen next week, I assume. But we'll talk about that then. Let's move on, mate. Souths 20 lost to the Broncos 36. Be happy as a Broncos supporter.
Very happy.
Katoni Staggs 136. Where's this come from?
Like, he always defends really well. They just decided to go to that side this week, and looked fantastic.
Who was he running at?
It looked like he had a bee in his bonnet.
Yeah, he was running at Isaiah Tass, wasn't he, on the left? So there must be.
They'd obviously worked that out, that was the weak point, and that's where they were going to attack. And he looked great. And
obviously not any Supercoach interest in Staggs, unless he's like your 6th center wing or something like that. But again, probably not worth a trade, especially with the Broncos draw. It's not amazing for the run home.
Yeah.
So they've got the bye in round 24, I think, or 25. Sorry, 25. Not ideal. But Reece Walsh 111. He's a guy I genuinely was very, very close at getting in on the weekend, and I didn't pull the trigger. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it would have been Gutho to Walsh, and it would have seemed sideways then with points this weekend. But I mean, I can't talk people out of Reece Walsh.
It's kind of hard. Like, I didn't add Reece Walsh because of the hard run that they've got coming up. But then they go and play Souths, and he scores 111 and looks absolutely electric. Like, that other try in the corner was extremely close. I don't know what he'll be next week, but he was like 630K this week. That's great value.
Yeah. Even if you had to get him at 680, 670K or whatever, I'd still pay that. I'd pay sub 700 for Reece Walsh, knowing that if he can do that against Souths, he can probably do it against anyone. So you can't complain. The well-owned guys, Payne Haas 62. Happy as an owner, happy as a non-owner. I think it's kind of one of those scores where you're not really bothered either way. Alex Johnston 82. Happy. I'm definitely happy with that. A lot of people sat Alex Johnston. Are you one of them?
Fuck off. Yeah, no. Look, when he was on 88 and before Kalen Ponga updated, he was actually my highest scorer for the round, and he was sitting on my pine, and I was just extremely dirty. Big AJ fan myself. Just didn't play him against my team. I thought it would be a harder matchup out there, but how good did his base look?
Pretty good. I mean, he got a lot of runs out of his own end, so I feel like those the run meters, or I guess those run points that you get, Supercoach, were elevated somewhat because they just kept kicking to him all night, really. They didn't want to go to Campbell Graham's side, which makes complete sense. And probably Tane Milne, to be fair. Like, I would have rather Alex Johnston running the ball back out of their own end than Tane Milne or Campbell Graham. So, 82 for AJ. Good score. Happy with that. You can play him on matchups, so I wouldn't trade him. Damien Cook, 59. Funnily enough, just this was the week of just shitter hookers. Like, did a hooker score well this weekend? I feel like every single score that I look at of the well-owned Supercoach hookers, Harry Grant 30-odd, Reece Robson 41. Like, Cook 59 is okay, you take that, but there just weren't really standout hooker scores this weekend. So
I know we've chatted about draft a little bit, but can I tell you what my two guys did in draft? Lachlan Croker, 82, took him in about the 10th round. And the great Wade Egan with 62, took him off this little thing called waivers.
Ooh, some good little waiver wiring from you. Well done.
Yeah, we're gonna get in some draft content next year. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, for sure. We've already talked about this a little bit in the background, so we'll do a draft segment every single week, which will be good. Cody Walker, 55. I mean, I'm very happy I traded him. I don't know whether I'm going to be saying this in 3-4 weeks' time, because the Rabbitohs draw is going to start to spice up. They've got the Tigers next week, which is a beautiful matchup. Anything could happen next week with those Rabbitohs guys. Latrell coming back into the team next week, we assume. So that could really ignite Cody Walker.
They need Latrell back badly, and that will... There was so much attention at Cody Walker. Every time he got it, he was getting smashed. Every time he got it, he had no room to move. Maybe Lockie Ilias just isn't that good. And they need Latrell back to just be that other strike weapon on this team. So,
yeah, that is true. They definitely need him. What else have we got going on here? Cam Murray, 76, sub 500K. We talked about him a lot, as in he's just kind of lost it and he didn't look good. Now it's post-Origin. People are looking at him through a bit of a different lens. Do you waste it? I don't want to say waste a trade, because it's not really wasting a trade. Cam Murray's a quality footballer. But do you go and spend a trade now, getting Cam Murray, sub 500K Cam Murray in for the run home? Or have people just went and spent all of their trades without having them in their plans, and now people are panicking trying to get him in?
Well, I think it's an easy trade because of his price. I think it's an easy trade that, like, when you need to find some money for another trade and you're sitting there with 6 or 7 trades, you can get him as your 4th guy. You could get him as your 5th guy, and still make some money for getting, say, a Latrell, for example, and still free up some cash. Say you went a Hopgood to Cam Murray, and then you allow yourself to go Asako to Latrell Mitchell, or Asako to Reece Walsh, or something like that. I think that's when that is a really good trade. But I think it's what you do with the other ones. I'd probably still play him every week if I owned him. I was looking at him all year, basically.
And you look at him on pedigree, on what we know Cam, what Cam Murray's done in the past, kind of like the Teddy effect, I guess, from this week, is that people are not punting on his form, but they're punting on the fact they know what he can do and what he's done in the past. So I'd say it's not a bad trade. I just feel like everyone that I talk to has 5 or less trades left now. So it's kind of like, do you really want to go and spend an extra trade? If it gives you extra depth, yes, do it. But if you're going kind of sideways, or you're just trying to fill another roster spot, I don't know whether I like it. I feel like maybe we're too late in the season, especially with the Rabbitohs having the round 26 bye too. How many Rabbitohs do you have is another question you probably need to answer.
Yeah, and then, like, how many people are you going to play? Like, if you're getting him to be your 22nd player, then, like, is it worth a trade? Like, could you just go to Jack Howarth?
Yeah, it's true. You've got to start thinking, do I enough or not? Now is the time, I would say, to most people should have good depth this year. We've been saying it. If you listen to the podcast, we've been saying it for the last 21 weeks, is that depth is going to be crucial. So hopefully everybody listened. If you didn't, maybe if you've got some trades up your sleeve, focus on depth for the run home. We've spoken about Walsh. We'll skip him very quickly. Are you booking grand final tickets?
Did you like that one?
I did.
You got a spare room there? That bed looks empty. Could be there.
Yep. It's not a very.
I'm getting awfully
bed,
close.
It's all yours.
I don't know if we can do it. Like, Panthers are fantastic. We'd have to see. Like, we see the Storm stumble this week. I'd be very scared if in one of those early, maybe the first or second week of finals, you end up playing the Cowboys. But I tell you what, it's Broncos season.
Mate, you could beat any team. You could beat any team in the top 8 right now. Pretty exciting.
Well.
Pretty exciting times. Yeah, and hey, if he starts cooking, anything can happen. So fingers crossed for you.
So, I know we're talking about Supercoach, but doesn't he just give the Broncos that swag? Like, he just comes out and you genuinely look at this team and you look at the way that they walk around the park and you just think, these guys can beat anyone. These guys just won the last 4 premierships, didn't they?
You know that when you've got a good one, right? When you love him when he's on your team and everyone else fucking hates him. Because it's like a Cam Munster, like the Cam Munster effect. This is what Reece Walsh has. He's got that Cam Munster effect where you'd love him to be on your team and he'd be your favorite player if he was on the team that you support. But because he's not, he's your most hated player. You know, and for me, honestly, that's how I feel about Reece Walsh. I'm like, fuck, I'd love him at the Tigers. But because he's not at the Tigers, I fucking hate him. And I hate everything about him. So it's one of those, you want one of those guys on your team. And he's that guy.
Yeah.
So could do some good things in the league. And everyone's talking about the fact this guy could be the poster boy for the NRL for the, however many years to come. So plenty of potential.
Can I give you 3 names and tell me who you are more scared not owning?
Okay.
Brian To'o, Reece Walsh, Latrell Mitchell.
Latrell Mitchell. Every day of the week. Didn't even have to think. What Latrell can do in 10 minutes in Supercoach can bury your season.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
So if you have 4 or less trades, do you still go get Latrell? Because people do.
Yep, I would. I think he's a guy you're going to want. Excuse me.
No, he's a guy you're going to need.
Yeah, I think so. That's why I've got a plan. I've held a trade. I've held a trade to make sure I can get him, and that's it. I don't care.
Yep.
Mate, let's move on. Titans 18 got flogged by the Roosters 36. It was 32-0 at one point, and they brought it back to 36-18, which as a Roosters player or supporter, you'd be a bit pissed off at that because Titans are usually terrible in the second half, and they won the second half against the Roosters when the Roosters looked absolutely unbeatable in this game. So do you feel better about the Roosters now, or are the Titans a shit house?
Do you know what I feel amazing about? And like, the Roosters are one of those teams that have succeeded very well. I don't really like them. I don't connect with their players very well. I just usually want them to go really badly. That even when they beat a team by 18, they can still take a lot of negative points out of it. And this is great. And I don't own any of them except for Joey Manu. And he scored well. I'm happy. I don't want Roosters in my team.
No,
they're not playing
I
final
think
footy this year.
I was very close to getting Teddy on the weekend, like to a point where I traded him in and then reversed it. And it would have been Gutho to Teddy, which would have netted me 19 points, which is great. That's all well and good. But it probably would have stopped me from being able to get Latrell as easy. I would have burnt a trade where I didn't exactly kind of plan to make a trade. So, I'm kind of glad I didn't make that move. But hey, if anybody did and they got Teddy in this week, good on you, because you had 134 points to show for it. So does he continue that though?
They're not playing the Titans every week. And the Titans they could be the worst defensive team of the last 5 years.
they're actually, the Titans are terrible defensively. The Roosters' draw isn't that bad. I mean, aside from having the Broncos next week, that'll be a tough matchup. They've got Manly, they've got the Dolphins, they've got the Eels, they've got the Tigers, all in 4 weeks straight, and then they finish the year on Souths.
How good can the Roosters' draw be when they're dog shit? Like,
and
how good were Manly today? Like, Manly, take away whatever they won. The Sharks, whatever the hell's going on there. Manly isn't that hard of a matchup. The Dolphins are one of those teams that seem to be able to beat top 8 teams and lose to the Dragons or something silly. I don't think it's as easy as you think.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at Roosters players. Maybe Teddy. Maybe he'll come good for the run home. But I don't think they're playing finals footy. I think the Cowboys are going to push into the 8. And look, maybe they can. I think they're too far behind even the Eels, to be honest.
Yeah, they've just been so bad all year, haven't they? So it's so hard to be confident in them. Not Egan Butcher. Is it Nat Butcher? Nat Butcher 113. Egan Butcher, I think he didn't play. Manu 78, you mentioned. Fafita 57, not ideal.
It was Egan Butcher, man.
Was it Egan Butcher? 113.
Egan Butcher scored 113. Nat Butcher scored 74.
Oh, there you go. Because I saw Nat Butcher go over for a try, but I actually, this is probably the only game of the week that I didn't watch all the way through. So there you go. Egan Butcher 113. Good on him. Manu 78. Fafita 57. That's 2 weeks in a row now. We've seen 50s from Fafita. I'm not worried. Doesn't bother me in the slightest because I know what he can do. But I'd probably urge people to just be patient with Fafita. Just lock him into your 2RF and just enjoy when he gets your 120. It's gonna return. It's gonna come. He's just got through Origin. You got to give him a little bit of time to kind of settle back into that into a bloody shit Titans team that got rorted, and he saw no ball and he still got 57. So you can't be overly upset. And he also saw an early shower too. So
yeah, I think the big
thing
out of this is he had an early shower. He is another king of the junkyard. Like, you can see him in 10 minutes get 50 points. Yeah. Look, he just needs some more paddock time. Hopefully he doesn't get too many more early showers. So
yeah, I don't think he will for the run home. AJ Brimson 44. Are you worried at all? I know you're an owner. It was a bit of a pod play for you.
Not really, considering I bought him for 500k and I didn't even play him. I know I'm shrugging this off because I'm all excited to have AJ Brimson, but don't you want a guy that when you can add him in, when you're playing head to head or something along those lines, they have the upside of scoring 140. I think if you're adding, last minute, the Titans seem to play a lot of Sunday games. I think if you're adding a guy in, you want them to be able to win you a game. And I think, if you spent 500k on a second rower, you're not going to get that. I think AJ can win or lose you a game. He's got a handy duel. Would I be buying him right now? No. Maybe I made a big mistake. But realistically, I love watching him play. He was one of the guys that was out there and looked like he tried his heart out. So let's go 3 tries in the last 15 minutes. So
if you're a head-to-head player, I'd get off him. And this is why. If you make the semi-finals for head-to-head, you're playing Penrith. Titans play Penrith. So AJ Brimson's up against the Penrith team. And then if you make the grand final, he's up against Melbourne Storm. You've got Penrith and Storm semi-final and final in head-to-head. So if you're purely a head-to-head player, maybe it's time to jump off, or maybe it's time to get on a 5'8" that you can back that has a nice matchup for the run home. But I mean,
Luke Metcalf
could be the play. I mean, no one's seen Tamari Martin. Where the fuck's he? Wasn't he supposed to be back a month ago?
Pina coladas?
Could be.
Maybe
Mate,
they're just keeping it quiet. Maybe they're just like everybody respects Tamari Martin. Could be the most genuine bloke you've met. So I wonder, such a good news story that he's back in the NRL, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe he's back, he's fit, he's healthy, and they're just saying, mate, we don't want to look like a dick here. You just sit in row 36 there, enjoy watching the games, take your check, and Luke Metcalf's playing.
Luke Metcalf is so good. You can't drop him after how good he's been, can you?
No.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe that is the case. Who knows? The last one for me, I know you said you wouldn't jump on Roosters players, so I probably already have your answer. But Joseph Suaalii is back on the right wing, got 85 and he's goal kicking at the moment. There's no Sam Walker in sight, so it looks like he's got the goal kicking long term. I mean, the Roosters need to score points, of course, but we always said we liked him on the wing. At centre, I didn't look at him. I don't want a piece of him at all, but on the wing, it's a different story for Suaalii. Scores much better.
Maybe I was just being a little dramatic because I said that I would get Suaalii if he was named on the wing. And that's when he sort of got that suspension and we sort of got off him. We sort of forgot about him. Again, sort of like Cam Murray, like maybe that downgrade option. I just wonder if it looks like that they're out of contention for finals. And I looked up the draw before. They're like 12th. They're like 13th maybe, actually on for and against. Like, if they're not getting a stiffer finals footies, it'd be like, man, you're going to Union. Let's just blood one of our other guys.
Could be. It could be. I don't think they're going to drop him, though. I'd say there'd be something in his contract or some sort of... It'd be a bad look, I think, if they dropped him at the run home, if they kind of came out of contention. But, yeah, there's better options, I think, at centre wing. We'll talk about one soon that I feel a little bit better about. Knights 26, mate, is the third last game. Beat the Storm 18, upset of the round for sure. On
How
this
good
one.
were they?
I know. I love seeing Melbourne lose, especially because all the boys in the chat are fucking Melbourne Storm bandwagon supporters as well. They're AFL supporters, so they don't watch much NRL, and they jump on the Storm. So I love hopping in the chat every now and then. Yeah. I love jumping in the chat and going, "Go Storms!" every single time they're getting beaten. So that's my favorite part of the weekend. 8 points though. It wasn't exactly a close one. In the end, Munster scored well though in a beaten team, 97. Oh, as an owner, I'm very happy with that. Ponga 96. He just continues to keep scoring well for Supercoach. Everybody's waiting for that head knock, and it's just not happening, which is great. Greg Marju 79. He got a little bit of a down date, I think. I think he was in the 80s or 90s and come down to 79. So, but still, you'd be happy with that, wouldn't you?
Yep. The Knights draw is actually pretty good if you're looking at Knights players. Can Ponga be the fourth guy that goes over a mil?
Well, actually, I haven't even looked at his price, but I'll tell you what, negative 33 break even, wasn't he?
And he's 852, and he just punched out, let's call it a fake man's 100.
He'll go up another 100K. That'll put him at 952. I might even just quickly try and find Jay Schubert's thing on Twitter because he usually puts them up on there.
And as we go across, like I was actually disappointed with when Nick Meaney got gifted that try in like the first 4 minutes. I thought Nick Meaney was going huge. I started talking smack about me being a Nick Meaney owner because I actually hate it. But anyway, that was a bit disappointing. But the Storm just didn't play that good, and the Knights surprised me. They've been good. They've been the best.
Yeah, they've been playing good footy. Look at their back. Yeah, good. Look at their back five. They got Ponga. They got Marju and Dom Young on either wing, and then you've got Gagai and Bradman Best in the centres. That has got to be like one of the best 1 to 5 in the comp.
The best.
I know. So good. So good. Is this one of those like games that you play where you try and say best as many times as possible before someone else works it out?
I mean, man, that would be best, but
yeah.
Like, would it be the best? Like, look, Bradman Best. Look, his base is fantastic. If I was kicking down the field, I'd be kicking to the other side because, like, when Best comes back at you, like, it's just not the best for your team.
That's pretty good on the fly.
Yeah,
well
thanks,
man. Speaking of who wasn't the best, Christian Welch 41. Harry Grant though. Harry Grant 36 points, and I said it last week. I'm not burning trades at hooker, and this is exactly why. Because a lot of people went Damien Cook to Harry Grant, and they spent the 40, 50K or whatever it was they had to spend to go up to Grant to get 30 less points. Like, it's complete fucking wasteland at hooker. You're wasting a trade there, especially when trades are so minimal at the moment. Like, you just don't... There's not many trades left. Like, why waste them at a position where you're going to get fucking 70 max?
I played Reece Robson this week, and I wasn't disappointed. That's how shit hooker is.
Yeah, take the 40 and run. I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what I wouldn't be taking. Fucking Reed Marnie. Reed Marnie coming off the bench playing bloody 45 minutes. Thanks. Thanks, Sorreldo. That's good of you. Can you start him again, please? Because I
Why are
might
you
need
playing
him.
your captain that many minutes? But anyway,
I know,
they will save
bizarre.
that for 2 games time.
Yeah, that wasn't the best from Sorreldo. Cowboys 24, Eels 16. This guy just keeps getting fucking hundreds, and I don't know how.
Click
Scott
Gutherson.
Drinkwater.
I know.
Scotty Drinkwater, mate. I know how Gutho's getting hundreds because he fucking touches the ball 200 times a set. But Scotty Drinkwater looks so good, man. Like, you get to a point where you look at his price and you go, you know what? Fair enough. The 1.1 mil or whatever his price is. I'd be like, yep, he's worth that.
Yeah. Mortgage. I don't know. Mortgage your house and get him.
You got to look at, and this is what I was actually thinking about the other day. You got to look at like points per 100,000 and look at the value that you're going to get in return for 1.1 million. You could go and get probably, let's say for instance, you're going to get your 120 every single week from a guy that's cost 1.1, or can you go and get 80 a week from a guy that costs you 600K?
600.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to look at the, you got to look at,
I was joking.
not a chance you're spending up on that. But I'll tell you what, owners would be very fucking happy having him right now, and you do not sell him.
8% owned, and you're probably in the top 5% if you own him.
You'd have to be, and you're in a very good spot to make a deep run into the overalls at the back end of the year.
Because no one else can afford him. Like,
yeah,
I would love to get him. I am Scotty Drinkwater's. You know what? He nearly makes me like the Cowboys. That's how good he is. Nearly,
no, isn't it? Isn't that the ultimate rivalry up there in Queensland, Cowboys and Broncos?
Yeah, now I just hate the.
Or is
now
it
I just hate
Redcliffe?
No, Titans have never won a game in Queensland. That's the thing. But now I just hate the Dolphins because all the there was a heap of Broncos supporters that went across to the Dolphins. Like I remember that happening 20 years ago with the Cowboys. But anyway,
yeah. Gutho and Drinky were the only hundreds in this game. I'm a proud Gutho owner. Lucky I didn't fucking trade him. I nearly traded him. It was very close. But Gutho will turn into Latrell next week, so that's fine. The Cardi party's back on. It's back on again.
He was good. Tell me who his barber is. It looks fantastic.
It does. He did a very slick haircut. Sean Lane, how long is he going to be out for? Because that dislocated elbow did not look nice.
I think physio sort of said if it goes back in all right, it might not be too bad, but he might be done for the year. He might be done for 4 weeks. Yeah.
Fuck, he's had some stiff luck, man, this year, hasn't he? How many injuries is that? Like 3 now? Poor guy.
Yeah, I wish he scored less so that he was at more of a discount for next year for me, though.
That would be nice. He'd be most owned. Yeah, so Cardi 73, Mitch Moses 64 with that 40 points of junk at the back end of the game there. Jermaine Hopgood 63, Val Holmes 50. I mean, look, Val Holmes 50, great. Like when you look at the score, you're like, yeah, I'll take it. But that could have been 110. If you watch this game, like Val, it just seemed like nothing went his way in this game.
Mate, that sin bin, maybe I'm a bit dirty, but the negative 10 points hurt. Him not being out there for 10 minutes. They scored that Scott Drinkwater try, I think, right through the middle with only 12 men on the field. And then realistically, they didn't need him. Like, I feel like so often when they need Val, they go to Val. But yeah, they got a bit spicy with it. They went to Valami's side. He did really well. Peter Hiku scored. Look, you can't be disappointed because I think Val is still maybe the second best footballer on their team. So
let me tell you why they kept going to Valame's side. Because Wonga Blake is the worst defender in the NRL, bar nobody.
Yeah.
Bar nobody. I've never seen a defender as bad as Wonga Blake. So, of course, you're going to go to his side all game. And he kept coming up and jamming in on the center, left the winger wide open. We were laughing on Thursday night, wasn't it, when Ravalawa kept jamming up on the center and left Tupou wide open all Thursday night. And Wonga Blake, the same thing all night. Did you see there was one, I think might have been the first try for the Cowboys, where Wonga Blake was on the wing and he was seen daydreaming, looking out into the crowd, and the ball was coming his way. They were shifting the ball across and they went a break. I think it was Dearden break through the right edge. I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, you're a professional footballer being paid good money and you're fucking caught picking grass. But absolutely bizarre. Yeah. So I don't know whether he's seen too much more first grade. Good old Wonga Blake. But, mate, what are your thoughts on Nanai and Taulagi? I know they got 36 each. Nanai looks like he's got a shoulder injury as well. So does that open the door for someone else now at the Cowboys. I mean, I don't know where Hylam Lukey's gone. Is he still injured?
Yeah, I think he's still injured. I think he's due back in 2 weeks. I think I read somewhere. No sources, sorry. But look, I wanted Nano when he was 510k. I'm not paying 660k for this style of player. It was the same sort of with Hudson Young. Like, you're not going to pay the 700k that he was at the start of the year, but he's just a man that can score tries. And he has that upside. He has 120 in him. He has 130 in him, but you're not going to pay 660k for him. Maybe if you've got heaps of trades, you're head-to-head only, they've got a really good matchup, you can bring him in to try and win the week. But apart from that, yeah, I'm done with Nanai for Classic this year.
Yeah, fair enough. I've got him in draft, and I might be done with draft if his injury turns out to be longer than 3-4 weeks. Could be in trouble. So,
yeah, just drop him.
Anything else on this one, mate? Before we move on.
Look, no, realistically, we said that we would talk about Hopgood a little bit. I am pretty happy with dropping of Hopgood with the minutes that he got, with the way that I saw him play, with the minutes that Madison was getting. Realistically, I think Hopgood might be a move, and I think that nobody's going to be able to do it because they don't have the trades left.
Yeah, it's a really good spot to be in for yourself because no one will make that move because they just haven't allowed for it. So,
and he's not bad enough that really recognizes a drop, but it actually saved me a trade when I got David Fafita in. And maybe that's tailored to me. But if you see somebody that you really think that you need for the run home, like Britton Nickera, this week is not the prime example for that. But just one of those guys that, as your number one second row forward. Like, if you don't have Fafita, still Hopgood to Fafita is a great move. Fafita didn't drop money this week.
Yep. I think it's... Look, I'm going to hold Hopgood, but I could easily just not play him. I mean, I didn't play Hudson Young this week because I've got 5 playable 2RFs. So maybe Hopgood ends up being that guy that I can just kind of... If he's playing a team like the Broncos or if he's got a tough matchup, I just sit him for a week.
That's dumb, man. He's like 700k. Like, use that money elsewhere. Like, he's 725k. Like, you don't... I want somebody like Alex Johnston that was 510k at the start of the week or whatever he was to be the guy that I'm not going to do that. Like, you could get 500k and get literally anything you want in other positions if you've got the trades there. Like, I'm just saying, if you don't have Fafita, Hopgood to Fafita is the easiest trade you'll make all year.
100%. Absolutely. I'd be doing that every day of the week. If I didn't have Fafita, that'd be the trade for sure. All right. Sunday games, Penrith 44, Bulldogs 18. Fuck, this could have been anything for Nathan Cleary, and it wasn't. Brian Toto, 104. Cleary, 70. Not really much else to mention. I mean, you're not investing in Bulldogs players at this time of the year, are you? Like, you're not... Reid Marnie got a 17. He's probably the only other one that you really have as a backup hooker, maybe, for the Bulldogs. Yeah. But everyone jumped off Jacob Preston because obviously he didn't even play this weekend. People jumped off him a week or two ago to get David Fafita back in. It's one of those games where, I mean, now Penrith players become relevant, but I'm a little bit concerned about jumping on Penrith players and investing too heavily in these guys because there's every chance they could get rested in round 27 and you could be fucked.
Yep. I'm happy with only having the one of them. Look, don't you get disappointed when you talk about Isaiah Yeo all year and he punches out an 88, but they're not going to be playing the doggies every week. Like, this is the clear third worst team in the comp. Did they let in 60 last week, or did I mention that? No, that was 2 weeks ago. They've let in something silly like 300 points in the last 6 weeks. Like, it's wild.
It's a lot of points. It's there's only 2 guys here I'm looking at, right? And this is why I wanted to leave it to the end for my center wing, kind of my 5th center wing upgrade. Now, I would love Brian Toto. Would love him. I just don't know whether I'm going to have the cash for him now that he's going to go up to like maybe 650, 660K, I think he's going to end up being. I don't know whether I have the cash to get there now. I'm going to have 200K in the bank after I make my Gutho to Latrell move next week, and then I'll have 200K potentially to do Croker up to Brian Toto. So I could do it that way, or I could do Valence Tavare to Jacob Carraz, who yet again this week has scored relatively well against the Panthers. He's not going to obviously get any attacking stats, and he's still put up a 62. 62 with, let's have a look, no attack. Yeah, no attack. 4 offloads. Oh, he has 1 line break assist. 31 points in runs. So the base is there for Jacob Carraz. All he needs to do is put it together and find an attacking stat. The issue is, can you back the Bulldogs to find him an attacking stat? I don't know. But at that price, at 450, 460K, Jacob Carraz is a really good option. And I actually really like him. So there's a good chance I might even make that move next week and get Carraz in. So that could be my 5th center wing, or I could just go with Brian To'o and spend up. And my other trade will be Latrell Mitchell in for Gutho. On this, I guess with this game, actually, no, we can just probably move on. I mean, there's not really much to talk about. I know Troy mentioned Isaiah Yeo in the chat. Isaiah Yeo, we mentioned on the Run Home pod. I think it was about maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago now at the start, or sorry, when we were coming towards the end of the bye period, we did a bit of a Run Home pod on players you should target for the Run Home. Isaiah Yeo was a mention in there, very, very quick mention, but not many people are talking about him, and he could be a really good pod. Could be a really good pod in a good team. He does find attacking stats. They use him a fair bit as a link man. I don't mind Isaiah Yeo. It's just hard because you're spending more than 700K to get him. I don't know whether I want to spend that kind of money when I could probably just spend an extra 100K and get Fafita.
Second row forwards has been a lot more mid. Like, it was the position that I was really excited about to start the year. And spending 700K in the second row on Yo just seems like a waste of money. Like,
yeah.
I suppose when you're talking about Hopgood and you're talking about his 60s, like, is it worth a trade to get Isaiah Yo's 70s? Like, to me, that's not quite there. But
does Isaiah Yeo have 110 in him?
No, that's the thing. Like, at the start of the year, if you go with a plan that you just want to finish the year with, you know, really super safe guys in the second row, not chase that upside. You could start the year with blokes like Paddy Carrigan. You can start the year with blokes like Yo and nearly leave them all year.
Yeah, I guess you could.
Origin's what ruins you. But you know that they're going to get you 60 every week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't know whether I just want 60 anymore.
Yeah. I suppose in your second row, I'm okay with it. In your front row, I'm there with it. And then you spend a bit more money on upsides on fullbacks and centre wings and all your halves. Like, our halves are worth a ridiculous amount of money now. Yep,
true.
I like the Carraz call. I would be getting Carraz in if I had more than 6 or 7 trades. His base is there in the centres. His base is fantastic in the centres.
31 points in runs this game against the Panthers. His last 3 games have been 71, 72, 63. Like, I think he's found 1 attacking stat or something, or 2 attacking stats. He's got 1 try against the Souths in round 19. But like, aside from that, it's all been in base. Like, I mean, there's security there. You could play him every single week and you'd be happy with his score, I think. At that price, fuck. You could even downgrade a Zarko. You could downgrade a 550 or 600K guy down to Carraz, free up cash, and then upgrade elsewhere. And happily play Carraz every week.
And I'm talking about not being able to free up enough money with trading out, say, a Nick Meaney at 550K. With Pappy in the wings, maybe you just cut your losses, go Carraz. Like, I'm always really excited about getting these, you know, your C&Ks and your To'os and your Val Holmes and all those sorts of guys. Maybe the thing is just to go Carraz and he be your 6th best centre wing and you just ride at home. That'd be fantastic.
Yep. I think that's what I'll do next week. Sharks, 26, Manly 30. Very interesting game, I guess you could say, to finish off the round. What was the score? 30 fucking nil or something, wasn't it? At some point,
it was 30-0. Yeah,
and then 30-26.
It would have been the biggest. It could have been the biggest comeback in NRL history.
Yeah, that's nuts. And they had every opportunity to do it as well, and they butchered it. No tons in this game. Will Kennedy 95. I don't know how many people went with Will Kennedy when the fullback options were starting to be thrown around a little bit, but a lot of people that invested very, very heavily into these Sharks guys would have been shitting bricks.
Did you say no tons?
Did I miss
there
it?
Was Hazelton on. He played.
That's awful from you. I don't even
Thanks,
know
man.
why. Yeah, that is terrible. I wouldn't expect anything less though.
Pew pew.
Daly Cherry Evans 96. Fuck, he was good. Like everyone's talking about Nathan Cleary. They're talking about Nico Hines. You know, what about DCE?
Yeah. He's 584k, 4% owned. No?
Manly. They play the Dragons next week, and then they've got the Roosters, Panthers, Warriors. No thanks. But still, he had a good game. What else have we got here? Nico Hines, 79. He was on like 20 with 15 minutes to go and bashed out a 79. And this is why you have Nico Hines in your team and you don't fucking trade him out. Because so many people traded Nico Hines out. 7% of the top 1% of teams traded out Nico Hines to Sean Johnson this week. Like,
gross.
This is why I think when you've got a guy that's averaging 100 in Supercoach for a 21-game season so far, why are we trading him out? Why are you're out thinking the room, I think, if you're moving Nico Hines on, personally. I think Nico Hines and Nathan Cleary are the pair that you want, and that's kind of it.
And I listened to this. I watched the first half and then listened to the second. I went to the park with the young fella, so listened to it on ABC Radio. Shout out to the boys. Until he started getting involved in everything, the Sharks were awful. Tell me this week that Matt Moylan's not coming back. Tell me that probably Talakai gets a run, and tell me that they are not just going to get Nico as much early ball as possible and try and go right to left, left to right. Wherever he needs to be, he will be there next week.
Braden Trindle had a pretty ordinary game. It's a good opportunity for him to kind of step up. I do. I just... A lot of the guys came out, a couple of the Sharks players came out and defended Moylan and said it's not Matt Moylan's fault. Matt Moylan took a fall for us because we've been playing shit, and Moylan and Talakai were the ones that lost their spots because of the team's performance. So I think you're right in saying that we'll see him back. Do I think that they're going to backflip this quickly on that move that was such a controversial move? I don't think they will. I think they're going to stick it out, especially because they nearly came back and won this game. I mean, fuck, they played poorly.
Did Trindle touch the ball in the last 10 minutes? That's why they were there.
He did. Yeah, he did. And he threw 2 fucking hospital passes straight to Nicola, and both of them were dropped in a hole. So I don't know. They've got some things to work out, the Sharks, but I tell you what, they are not a premiership threat until they can actually fucking show that they can beat a good team.
They'll be playing finals footy because they just beat the teams they should beat.
Are you sure? Because if they continue to fucking play like this, they won't be playing finals footy. Not a fucking chance in hell. I've taken way too many bolter bets this year. I
can't wait for that ute.
2 cases worth of...
I can't wait for that ute to turn up full of beer.
I would argue that I reckon the Sharks maybe won't see finals footy. I don't know.
Can I give you $2? Can I give you double odds?
Yeah, but the problem... Yeah, actually, I need to make some back. Fuck it. Let's do it.
Yeah. So let's go double. So realistically, Sharks make the top 8. You give me 1 6-pack. Okay. Sharks lose. I give you 2.
Jeez, that's generous of you. Fucking hell.
I'm a good guy.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, you are
I'm
a good guy.
I'm backing Nick. You know what? I'm using Nico hindsight right now just to work
good guy
out
with bad
happening.
jokes.
Thanks, man. It means a lot.
Anything else on this one? Mulatalo 61. Britton Nickera sucked. I mean, Nickera could have scored 80. Like he ran good lines. He just didn't get the ball where he needed to get it. I'm not worried as an owner.
I can't believe you're not talking about the big avocado.
It's the last thing. It's the last thing that I wanted to make a really big deal about.
Oh, sorry. Ruben Garrick, the Reuben sandwich, 79. Yeah, the big
mate.
Rubes.
You know why we're here?
Sexiest man in league.
Hamoli Olakawatu. The man just knows how to score. The man just knows how to score a meat pie, doesn't he? How good. He
knows how to serenade me with that mullet.
I tell you what, that was a fucking really good kick though. To find him there. It was an incredibly good kick.
800 grand a year that's worth.
Yeah, 74 Supercoach points is what that is worth to me. I don't give a shit about how much he gets paid. 5.6% owned in the top 1% of teams. So a really nice pod for both of us. And we jumped on maybe 5-6 weeks ago. So it's starting to come to fruition for us now. the Hamoli Olakau'atu shout. Hopefully he finishes the year nice and red hot. They've got the Tigers into who else? They've got 2 really nice matchups to finish the year. So could be a really good way to finish the year with Hamoli Olakau'atu. 74 though, I feel like was unders. Like he's covered his break even 570k. I still think you can get on him if you really wanted to. You've got the Dragons next week. That could be anything.
Yeah.
They've got the Bulldogs into the Tigers the last 2 rounds.
If they decide they're going that way, he looked dangerous every time he got the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't get the ball anywhere near as much as I thought he would get it. So if he gets ball in his hands nice and early, he could do some damage.
Honestly, every game he doesn't get the ball as much as I think he should. But when I started seeing these front row forwards go down for the Sea Eagles, I thought that he'd get it a bit more. So
yeah. Paseka went down, I think, as well. So unlucky for him, it looks like his season's probably over or close to it.
Paseka went down. Trebojevic had a grade 2, I think, and one of the other front row forwards didn't come back. So
yeah, decimated. Good win for Manly though. I mean, if you're a Manly supporter and obviously the team, they'd be bloody stoked to hold off the Sharks. They were out on their feet, so good win for Manly and Manly supporters. That's all 8 games done, mate. What are your early trade thoughts? What are you thinking already? I know that obviously this doesn't really mean much up until Tuesday when we actually see teams, but what are you thinking at the moment for next week?
Look, realistically, I don't have any trades left to use, but the blokes that I would be looking at is Reece Walsh, still at his price. Just think about how good he played against the team that he played, and also think about Latrell's matchup this week. I was hoping that he would come down and I would be able to, just burn maybe a Nick Meaney or somebody with the money that I've had saved in the bank to just move across to Latrell. But realistically, with him not playing this week, with him not dropping any money, I don't think I'll be able to afford him in one trade, which is disappointing. I think it'll cost me a lot of points. But they are playing, I think they're playing the Dragons this week, and it could be absolutely anything.
Souths are playing the Tigers.
Oh, there you go. Just as bad.
Yeah, probably worse.
I knew it was bad.
To be fair. Yeah. And that is why I am doing Gutho to Latrell this week. Don't have any problem doing it. And I mean, when you look at Gutho's scores, Gutho scored like 500s in his last 6 games or something dumb. But Latrell could do that from here and Gutho could regress. And that's probably what I do see happening. I know that the round 26 buy isn't amazing. And I've already got Cook. I've got AJ. And I've also got Munro. So like I've got a fair few Rabbitohs in my team, but I plan on trading out probably AJ and maybe even one more of those Rabbitohs players come round 26 so that I'm not caught too short. And I can cover. My team's pretty deep, so I'm not overly worried about it.
I just don't really see him resting AJ even in round 27. They just chuck him out on the wing. He'll just hang out with footballers, as his TikTok suggests, and score some points.
That's true. That would be nice.
I'm keeping him. I'm holding AJ the rest of the year. Lock it in, Andy.
Yeah. Play him on matchup. You can do much worse. My second trade...
That's the worst thing. You play him on matchup and he plays the Broncos and scores top score.
That's true. It's pretty hard to know which matchup's going to be good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty much most matchups with Latrell and Cody Walker going down that left edge are good matchups for AJ. So maybe just play him every week. So Gutho and Latrell will be my first trade. I'm saying at the moment Jared Croker to Brian To'o would be my second. Or if I decide to keep Croker as a little bit more depth, I can do Valence Tavare to Jacob Carraz. And those will be my final 2 trades unless I decide to get a little bit shallower. So I've got 6 trades at the moment. Means that I could finish with 4 trades, 4 emergency trades, I guess, for the final 5 rounds or 6 rounds. Or I could burn another one the week after. And I could do one of my center wings to Reece Walsh and then move Garrick back down into center wing. So I've got a bit of flexibility with Garrick being in my fullback slot at the moment. So I've got to make a decision on how I want to play that as well.
Yeah. I know we don't always talk about captains, but do you think, so I brought in Cleary this week against the Doggies, and I thought, I am not letting this go. I'm just going to throw captain on him. I'm fairly confident that he can get a ton. Didn't work out this week. Bringing Latrell in next week, are you a little worried about captaining him or vice captaining him? Is that gonna is what happened this week gonna worry you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I captain
That's
Cleary
very
this week.
high pitched, man. That was
I captain Cleary this week. So
yeah,
I
me
mean,
too.
Cleary coming back from a 6 or 7 week layoff or whatever, and I threw the captaincy on him. So same kind of thing for Latrell. I think they've put him on ice for so long that it's more precautionary than anything. So I think maybe it's a relatively
They
safe
needed
move.
him. They needed him against the Broncos.
Did they?
Like, there's something going on. Like,
Yeah. Might have lost Matty there. Internet might be playing up a little bit. Yeah, actually, that's actually not a bad point. While we've lost Matty, I'll quickly kind of go over that. But yeah, I mean, looking at Latrell's injury history and maybe there is a little bit of a concern there for Latrell. I hate it when he makes me think about my trades like this, but I think I'm just going to get him in. I don't know. Maybe I don't captain him. Maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe we just don't captain Latrell. We get to have a look. I just don't want to not own him against the Tigers because he could easily come out and go 120. And that's my concern is that I miss out on that. And then I know that his break even's really high. So it's not really about the price that you're getting him at. It's more so about the points that you're going to miss out on at this time of the year for the run home. And I don't want to miss out on those points if Latrell goes massive. So let me know if anybody has any other questions. Actually, I think we've got a couple here. I'll quickly answer. All right. And Mark Lawless is, I guess I've maybe answered this already, is Latrell Mitchell a must this week if he plays? I'm going to go ahead and say that he is. I think he's one of those players that could actually really hurt you. So I'd want him in my team pretty much ASAP as soon as I could get him in. And if that's next week and he gets named, then fantastic. He'll be in my team. I don't care who comes out. For me, it'll be Gutho. But I wouldn't have a problem trading anybody to him at this point in time, except probably Reece Walsh. Mr. Callio, is Gutho a hold? He keeps putting up big numbers. Look, I mean, I won't argue with people that say that Gutho is a hold. He potentially is. I mean, when we look at his last few scores, he's scored 138, 132, 119, 61, and now 115. Like, that is keeper numbers if ever you've seen them. So I don't have a problem with anyone holding Gutho. I'm just waiting for those numbers to regress back to the mean, and I feel like they probably will very soon, especially when Dylan Brown is back, because Dylan Brown being out has helped. Welcome back.
Stacey.
Yeah, I was just saying that Gutho could be a hold. I can't argue against Gutho being a hold. But Dylan Brown being back might hurt his usage. All right. Joey Manu fan is asking, who would you sell between Manu, Nikora, or Hopgood to Latrell?
Hopgood.
Yeah, we've spoken about this earlier in the show. Hopgood is a perfect sell candidate, I think. If you want to antipod someone, it'd be him.
I think with your name too, like, yeah, I just don't think you could do it.
No, you can't sell Joey Manu as a Joey Manu fan, could you? That's criminal.
Yeah. No, like realistically, I think that you can see 120 from those other blokes. You can't see that from what we've seen probably the last 10 weeks from Hopgood. He just doesn't have that upside.
Yep, for sure.
Sorry, I'm not sure when it cut out on my trail rant, but I'm gonna have to wait a week, even in the matchup that he's playing in, because something's not right. Like, you have to bring him back against the Broncos if he's ready. Like, it's not like it's not like what happened with Cleary and the Dolphins last week when they thought, hey, we think that we can get the job done without this guy. The Broncos were too good. Something's wrong with Latrell. Otherwise, he would have played against the Broncos. The Souths, I'm not 100% sure they're a better team than the Broncos, but last time Souths pumped the Broncos. I was there. It was heartbreaking. But something's wrong with Latrell. I'm not playing him week 1.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, and hey, I understand that, and you're kind of getting in my head a little bit. I'm still going to bring him in. I just won't captain, but I think I still want him.
Vice captain?
I mean, when do they play? I haven't even had a look at it.
It's Friday. It's
Friday night, 6 p.m. Yeah. I'd VC him for sure. Just in case by some miracle he goes out and gets 130 and does Latrell things, which is very realistic. He could actually come out and just blow them apart.
Yeah, and we always talk about this on the Tuesday show, but we don't get as many listeners on the Tuesday show, so get on Tuesday. We probably like we know a lot more by the time Tuesday comes around. We know a bit more about the injuries. We know a little bit more about, I suppose, the team list comes out. We'll try and do a countdown show as well. But realistically, and we'll be covering Latrell the whole time. But realistically, yeah, VC, don't see just this week. I like the get. I just think that.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. It is a really good point. They're sitting 9th as well. So it's not like they're just sitting in 3rd and they can sit pretty. Like they need to win games. So yeah, it is a good point you make. I'm still getting him. I don't care. I'm going to take a punt. Last, I guess that's a question. Paul Bark, it's his first season of Supercoach. Only been in NRL Fantasy for 3 seasons. So welcome to the light. Coming over from Fantasy. Can you guys pass on your team names to add as a rivalry? Mine's Sheensy's Revival with an apostrophe. Sheensy's
And
Revival.
I've just added Mattrix Reloaded in the chat.
Oh, yeah. So I'll just put mine in here. There we go.
Yeah, and
How good.
You know what? Hindsight, Matty Granger, you should have looped Drinky. But hey, honestly, I nearly should have looped Ponga. So you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Mate, that'll do us, I reckon. Another Sunday sesh done and dusted. Another round of Supercoach. There's only 6 left. Round 22 next week, man. This season has flown by. So we'll be back for the Tuesday or Tin List Tuesday, where we talk all things teams. And we'll probably, like Matty said, do a little bit of a countdown show this week as well to kind of talk last minute trades and things like that.
Yep.
If you haven't yet, please hit subscribe at the bottom there. If you're new to the show, thanks for hopping on and listening to us and getting involved in the chat. Hopefully we'll see you again on Tuesday, usually around 7:30, depending on when Matty's ball is. And we'll know a lot more then and talk trades with you then. But until then, guys, have a good rest of the weekend. See you on Tuesday.
Cheerio.